In this lesson we'll talk just a little bit about rendering for your portfolio. Right up here in the render setup, click on that button, it'll bring up a menu for you. And this is really the setting that you'll want to know. There are a lot of mental ray options in here. The one I typically use is the top one here. You have hidden line, you have photometric lighting. This goes with the lightings in the photometric category. So if you have used your standard mental ray lighting, then you're going to get a black screen if you try to render with that one. So I'm just going to go ahead and stay with this one. Load the settings and go ahead and say render, and it'll begin to render your scene. Oops, mine looks like it's going to be pretty dark, so I'll have to modify my lights, but it will continue to render that till it's done. But the other thing I want to show you is Final Gather. Now, if you're doing a nice render, especially if you put your character in your scene and want to do a really nice render, you can go ahead and play with Final Gather as we did in a previous tutorial, and go ahead and pick up as much of your lighting as you can possibly pick up. And there you can see it's getting a little bit better, but I will have to go back and modify the settings on some of my lights, especially the key light. Bring that up a little bit more, and also the fill light. Alright, so it's a balancing act, and I encourage you to continue to play with your settings. Once you do get this set up for yourself and you like what you have, this particular lighting setup should go into your library so that you don't have to do it again. Because you'll be using that over and over again for your characters and you won't want to, after you spend the amount of time that you are going to spend setting up your lighting and shadows just right, you're not going to want to keep doing that over and over again. So this is a good one for your library, the libraries that you should be building, and to prevent from spending the time again in the near future. Alright, here you can see that I have bumped up my values for both my fill light and my key light, and that's doing much better. So if I go into my left view, L on the keyboard, select on my spotlight, right here where it says multiplier, I bump that up to 0.6, and that seems to be doing a little bit better. On my Omni light, bumped it up to 2, maybe I'll go to 3 and see how well that does. Select on my camera, hit C on the keyboard, I'm back to where I can render that, and I can see already that fill light has come up enough to fill in some of those shadow areas a little bit better, but leaving the three-dimensional quality of that alone. So I'm not getting any bad artifacting from the extra light, but I certainly need to finish this character's rigging. He's not so stiff. Alright, so that's looking better. Let's go ahead and go back here to figure out what's happening with our fill light back here. Let's bump that up to maybe a 4. I don't want it to, just very subtle back there. Alright, that might be too much. We'll see what it comes in as. Alright, so I've dimmed that down just a point, and I like this much better. It is personal preference what you choose, but you do want to make sure that you are understanding how lighting works, how that causes it to continue to look three-dimensional rather than flat. If you have too much fill light, it'll tend to flatten things out. If you're too hot, as this is probably a little too hot back here, and you have a light colored background, you're going to drop out the silhouette on this arm, and it's going to look strange. So again, reference of professionally lit. Professionally lit, you'll be able to look at that and learn a lot from it by trying to duplicate that with your own lights in your 3D package. Right, so this file, even though I'd like for you to go in here while you have the opportunity and get to know this lighting. The class is not about lighting. I do want to make sure that you have some examples to analyze and work from. Now, if you put my grid in here, if you have your character prepared, and that character is a hip node, is at 000 location in the world, and you've worked at a 6-foot height in the class specification unit setup, then this will work out for you to put your character in there and take a look at these lights and get to know how those are installed and how attenuation works by dialing these up and down. This base setup will give you a jump start on that and be able to get you there quicker, as this is not a lighting class, but I do want you to have these capabilities, to have this knowledge for your portfolio.